Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Tea with Nikki. Today I'm drinking pumpkin spice chai. I really need to get some more teas because I'm running out. Probably need to make a run to Whole Foods or some shit so I can try some new shit. Anyway, I've been talking about a lot of heavy stuff lately, and so I thought I'd switch it up and go towards some fandom stuff. It might still get a little heavy because whatever, but it's still kind of light. So I want to talk about Legend of Korra, and I want to address KORRA haters. Now, I want to preface this by saying, like, these are fucking fictional characters, and so you're entitled to feel however you want to feel towards them. Like, we ain't gonna start any gang wars over it or anything, even though there seem to be a lot of gang wars and fandoms going on, like Deku versus Goku and Aang versus Korra. But there's some things about, like, Korra haters specifically that kind of, like, I don't know, there's a lot that I read into it. I actually, and it's a pretty clear pattern to see for people that like to make fun of female characters like Korra and Katara, seem to nitpick these little things about these women, and it eventually becomes pretty evident. A lot of people like to hate them because they're women. Like, some people really just like to hate them because they're women. But I think there's some underlying reasons why people hate Korra that I want to kind of address and I want to rebut, because Korra is my favorite avatar, honestly. Why is she my favorite? I'm gonna get into some of that here, but honestly, like, when it comes to personality and temperament, me and her are very much the same. I was rewatching Legend of Korra this year, as we all were, because we're on quarantine, and I noticed for the first time, I'm like, this bitch is exactly like me. I turned to my husband, I was like, this is me. Like, is this what it's like living with me? And he's like, yeah. And so yeah, so she is my favorite, and so I just want to go into some points and counter those points, like why people don't like Korra and why I think the bitch deserves so much more credit, infinitely more credit than she's given by a lot of Korra haters. So the first point, a lot of people try to compare the journeys of Korra and Aang. A lot of people watched Legend of Korra thinking that it was going to be kind of a continuation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it's not. It's a completely different story. It's a completely different Avatar. Some of the same characters. Katara comes back, Toph comes back, and unfortunately Sokka and Aang have passed on by now. But honestly, like, you can't compare the two people's journeys. A lot of people don't like Korra because she's very impulsive and full of herself and whatever, which is a problem for me because that's kind of an archetype of a lot of male action characters and action figures, like, period, and nobody seems to have a problem with those motherfuckers being, like, uppity and confident. Like, when they do it, it's like confident, but when Korra is like that, then she's just like, she's stuck up, whatever, she don't want to listen, she's hard-headed. So I kind of find issue with that. And yeah, she is very impulsive, and she's she's a woman of action, but both avatars are completely different people. Aang, he had to, he basically had to handle his shit when he was like 12 years old, right? And both of their personalities were completely different. Aang, while Korra was very impulsive and wanted to go, Aang was very hesitant and skittish and had to very often be, like, motivated and pushed into doing what he had to do. Korra, and some could see that as a weakness. Like, that can be a weakness sometimes. Just like being impulsive can be a weakness sometimes as well, but it can also be a strength. And then conversely, like, sometimes taking your time to find other solutions can also be a strength too. So sometimes that was a strength for Aang, but sometimes it was a weakness. Same thing with Korra. You cannot compare the two at all. And while Aang definitely went through some big ass trauma, like the genocide of his entire race, you can't compare traumas either. Like, Korra had like trauma after trauma after trauma, and they were all very, very different. And Aang's was like I said, the nature of them were just, you can't compare them. So I feel like they were both successful avatars in their own right. Again, remember, these are fictional people, okay? Calm down. But if we were comparing the two, let me say some things in favor of Korra that get overlooked all the time when people try to say that Aang is the better avatar. Aang had, as far as the story goes, Aang really only had one big bad to fight. and it was Fire Lord Ozai. That was it. For all 3 books were just leading up to that one fucking thing, okay? KORRA had like 3 to 4 literal god level fights. One of them literally god level, forces of good and evil, like cosmic level battles. Like if we were comparing the 2, like yes, Aang had this one fucking arc. He had to destroy this one dude, but KORRA battled gods. KORRA battled the devil herself. KORRA literally, like, you know, basically unlocked her last chakra where Aang couldn't fucking do it. Like, and she did it in one go, okay? Like, if we were gonna compare the 2, let's not fucking overlook that. Like, she fought the Dark Avatar. That is big. And the fact that no one is giving her credit for that is crazy. Not no one, but a lot of people don't. Also, if we were comparing KORRA figuring out how to use 3 elements by herself as a toddler, okay? Aang had to be coached by several different people to learn the other 3 besides airbending. Yes, airbending was the last one that KORRA had to learn, but she figured out how to use those other 3 by herself. So let's give her credit there. That's pretty fucking phenomenal. All right. And like I said, we can't compare trauma. It's not fair. But KORRA really went through some, like, just really bad shit. Like I said, from literally battling the actual incarnation of evil to being forced into the Avatar state by being poisoned by Mercury so that she, like, basically activating the Avatar state so that she could stay alive. And fighting going all the way into the Avatar state so that she could not, like, so that she could not lose that fucking fight, because the point was to force her into the Avatar state. That is rough. And having the connection to the other avatars stripped away from her, also so awfully traumatic. And for her to come back from all of that one after the other, like, that's a testament to how strong she is. Now a third point. A lot of people like to blame KORRA for being the one that severed the connection to the past avatars. And this particularly has never really sat well with me because it wasn't her fucking fault. She didn't sever it. Her uncle stripped that away from her. Her uncle held her down against her will and stripped that connection from her one by one. I remember watching it and it was like literally tearful because it was like she was helpless. She was forced, like he forced that on her. And people that blame KORRA for that kind of have a victim blaming energy coming out from them. To me, they kind of have the same energy as the people that blame sexual assault victims for their assault. Like yes, she made some brash decisions to get to that point, but she is not responsible for the abuse itself that happened to her. Just like victims of assault, of abuse, are not responsible for the abuse inflicted on them. I don't even, to my knowledge, she probably didn't even know that was even possible for that to be stripped away. I didn't. I don't know. Maybe there is other lore that I am forgetting right now, but as if that was even possible. I don't know if she even knew that was possible. So that really just doesn't sit well with me at all. Like I said, and honestly, like having that connection stripped away could very much be, I feel, an allegory for sexual assault, for abuse, because it's having something, you know, internal to you literally being taken away, like mastery over your body, control over your body, and something that is very much yours taken away. That is traumatic. That is just completely awful. And when people blame KORRA for that happening, it makes me very uneasy because it feels the same as when people ask, you know, sexual assault victims, what were you wearing? Why were you there? Like, did you say no? And, you know, and try to put the onus on them and try to put the blame and the responsibility on them instead of acknowledging the motherfucker who did it, the motherfucker that, you know, fucking violated them. And that's what her uncle did. Her uncle violated her. He violated her. So anyone that blames KORRA for that, I am just like, I don't, To me, like I said, even though it's a fictional character, it just rings a lot of things true for me, and I'm just like, that's not right at all, and I don't like it. The last point I'm going to talk about is that, so after book 3 and book 4, she, you know, it shows that KORRA has PTSD, and we shouldn't really be surprised that she fucking does, because, you know, she survived having her bending taken away. Forgot about that trauma. She survived having her bending taken away. She battled the little, basically Satan in that world, the little incarnation of evil, the dark avatar, her uncle, who also stripped away the connection to all past avatars, violated her in that way, and then was poisoned and was forced to go into the avatar state so that they could kill her. And she survived all that, and because of the, you know, the poisoning, she was paralyzed, she was crippled for a while and had to learn how to walk again. And in book 4 it shows her running away and, you know, basically from the city, and you know, you know, she's scared, she's skittish. She battles Kuvera in book 4, who honestly, like, she's big and bad, but she's not Dark Avatar big, you know what I mean? And KORRA's really frustrated because she can't do any of the things that she used to do. She sees that image of her in the Avatar state all the time. She's having flashbacks all the time. It shows that. She's a different person. She's not the brash, you know, impulsive person that we've been seeing for the other 3 books. And a lot of people don't like that because they're like, oh, that character development is gone. She's not the same anymore. I feel like they just threw it all away in book 4. And see, the thing is about PTSD, because guys, I have PTSD, and I told you I can relate very much to KORRA because our natural temperaments are very much the same. I know this because I matched our MBTI personality results. I know this because when you have PTSD, when you go through trauma like that, trauma bad enough to induce you into post-traumatic stress disorder to the point where you're having flashbacks and stuff like that, it changes you. It changes your mind. It changes your body. Like, you can't do, that's the reality of life. You can't do the things that you used to anymore. I can't, there's a lot of things that I can't do anymore, and I'm naturally very extroverted, you know, very, sometimes impulsive and brash. I say what the fuck I think, you know, and you guys know that about me. But I used to be so much more energetic. I used to be able to do so much more. There's little things that is hard for me to do, like drive, you know, like be in crowded places, things that were never an issue for me before. Now I find it hard for me to do those things, and I struggle with that every single day, and it induces a lot of self-loathing, and I appreciate being able to see that in KORRA because it makes me feel like I'm not alone, first of all. And I think that's the reality that not a lot of people are aware of, that when you go through trauma like that and you get that disorder, you are not the same. All that, and you think the same thing about yourself, all that character development, all these things that I used to be, the person that I used to be, it's gone. It's stripped from me, it's stolen, it's gone. And yes, that's the fucking point. That's the point. When you go through that, you are never the same again. And it shows KORRA basically trying to find reasons for why she went through all this stuff. And then at the very end of the series, which I appreciate so much, she comes to the conclusion that she had to go through immense suffering, or not had to go through immense suffering, but because she went through such immense suffering, she was able to understand true compassion. And that in the end made her a better avatar. So the end of that journey to me is like so inspirational, at least the end in those 4 books. Obviously she goes on to do more things, but that I appreciate that so much. It's a depth that I don't think we saw with Aang at all. And it's a depth that I appreciate as a woman who has PTSD, to see that journey, to see that played out and be like, damn, that is a good point. And honestly, seeing that ending helped me, you know, put meaning to my suffering as well, as I've had a lot of things taken away from me against my will. And so that's what I have to say about that arc. People that don't like it maybe don't understand it. I think it's excellent and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And so maybe if you know this now, maybe you'll be able to look at it differently. And if you don't, whatever, I don't care. But yeah, those are my rebuttal points as to why Korra haters need to fucking chill and why I love Korra so much and why she's my favorite avatar and why I think that she deserves a lot more credit. And I think people really need to stop nitpicking female characters for these, you know, for these personality traits that they may not like, but that are really prevalent in other male characters and male heroes that we seem to have no problem with, and we just take it as, you know, that's just the way it is and that's just the way he is. But the same grace is never given to characters like Korra or Katara, etc., etc., etc. Maybe you think I'm wrong, but whatever, that's how I feel, that's my tea, whatever. So that's today's episode of The Tea. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Please follow me on all my other socials, including Instagram and TikTok. If you have anything that you would like me to talk about on The Tea, feel free to comment below and feel free to leave a DM or comment somewhere on any of my social media. I try to check a lot of comments very, very often because I like to stay in touch with my followers and my fans. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I sure did. I've been itching to talk about it for a long time, and I'm definitely probably going to do a podcast episode with my good friend Dexter Warren, who is another TikTok creator, and we talk about this all the time. So there will definitely be a podcast episode with us going back and forth about this shit, so we can bring up some more stuff. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you at the next episode.